off. So if you're joining me and you're here live, just say hello in the chat, and we're gonna get going. Today I'm gonna talk to you. I'm actually going to talk to you about the sports speed system and what that exactly is. My name's Sam Portland, if you're new here, and I've been coaching athletes for God knows since I was since 2008, 2009. I broke my leg playing rugby and then had to kind of get into coaching as a way to help me rehab my own broken leg, and then, really build from there, from training people in my back garden, in local parks, and then converting my gym, like my parents' shed, into a gym. That was kind of like the evolution of where I came from and how I sort of built the system, the sports speed system. The name in itself is mine. It's quite funny. The Sam Portland, people say, you're really lucky with your name because it creates Sportland. My nickname was Sports growing up, amongst other things. But yeah, it kind of stuck, and it really has led me to where I am now and some of the work that I do. And I was having a conversation with someone the other day, and it was really ironic that growing up, I was told I was too small and not smart enough, too small, not good enough, a lot of sports and stuff like that. Although being fast naturally, and then just not good enough, not academic enough in school. So the ironic thing now is that I'm a speed coach who has wrote a book, which will be out this summer, the Sports Speed System, how to build the ultimate team sport sprinter. And there's going to be more on that to come. And so that really brings me to a really important point, and it brings me to a really interesting topic as how do we create speed for team sport athletes? And I call them team sport sprinters. The reason why I'll call them a team sport sprinter is because of actually their hierarchy of needs that are required of them. So when you think of a rugby player, let's take a rugby player for example, and let's take a winger. That's the position that I play. And what are the jobs of a winger on the field? Well, a winger has to first and foremost score tries. If you're a winger on the field, that's what you're there to do. I need to score tries. So we have to work backwards from that to sort of deconstruct the game to the point of where we meet speed. Obviously, you're going to have technical awareness, and you're going to have technical skills, and you're going to have tactical awareness and tactical skills. And then when we come back for that, it's going to be physical awareness and physical skills. So when we take physical awareness and the physical skills, I guess blanket term across any team sport athlete, any rugby player, if you are slow, you're not going to do as well as someone who is faster, purely from the basis that the game will have an average speed to it. It will just have an average speed across the game. And my career working in professional sport, we use the GPS and all those sorts of things, and we're able to work out what the actual average speed per position was per phase of play. And we were able to say, well, actually, if the game was at 6 meters per second for the most intensive player, my fastest player was 10 meters per second, but my slowest player's top speed was only 7 meters per second. We're going to have a real cost benefit relationship there go completely wrong. and we know how efficient it's going to be for this other individual. So when you look at this and when you break that down, we need to understand and we need to really go on the pursuit of, well, how do I make my team sport player faster? And the next question of that is, how do I make them faster in the game? Then the next question to that is, how do I use that speed to directly influence the game using my tactical awareness and my technical awareness? That is the space and the pocket of which we can see the people that score versus the ones that don't. And so when you are looking at this problem, how do I make my players faster? Well, most coaches and most ideas kind of finish with that NFL combine model, where we've got someone who can run a real fast 40, or someone who can run, a 30 to 40 meters, so like a fly 10 or a 10-meter acceleration really, really well. They can run, like they can do that, but they can't translate that to the field. So those physical qualities don't transfer to the field of play. And that's because there hasn't been the blend of that technical and tactical awareness. So that player has not been taught or shown ways and how to use their speed. So they can run fast, but they have a low speed IQ and they have a very low game IQ. So they're just potentially not very good at their game and not being coached in a way for a winger. If you've got a 1v1 5 meters out versus from the touchline, the sideline, versus a 1v1 with a covering defender 10 meters or a chasing defender, those different scenarios, how would you use speed to create the desired result? And sometimes that's actually not always by running as fast as possible. It's running as fast as we need to, so that's speed IQ. So if we were to take kind of like the sports speed system from a top-down level, this first part of it is all geared towards just maximizing the output of speed. So what do I mean by that? Well, with that, we are looking at how much speed can I just produce with this player? Can I just turn them into the fastest version of themselves in a training situation? All right, and this brings us into another part of the system where we think of we've got our absolute maximum speed. We then have our competitive maximum speed, and then our training maximum speed. And this is taken from fundamental research and fundamental principles from powerlifting, actually, where, they will build up to a competitive speed, a competitive lift, and that's the lift that they work 12 weeks out to achieve at a competition meet. So we have to reframe that, okay, and understand, well, what speeds am I able to produce, for example, in season? What speeds am I able to produce in season consistently in the games versus how fast I've ran in my off-season period where I'm not playing games, I'm not training, and I'm fresh. So that's the relationship between absolute max speed and competitive. And then our training max is, what are we able to achieve sort of in the weeks that's going to help support that? So that's that first part of the sports speed system from a general overview is understanding how we're going to develop our athletes from slugs to cheetahs. And the best part of that is that most team sport athletes, most rugby players, most football players, you will get different archetypes. So you will get, for example, you'll get players, like myself, who were naturally very fast, or you will get players who are naturally very strong. Everyone will fall into a predisposition on the way that they're built and the way that they're made, but they're always going to have a physical deficit in relationship. So I use my example. I was naturally fast but quite skinny. So in rugby, the contact situation was not always my friend, but if you gave me the ball in space, I would score 9 times out of 10 because I was just faster than people at that given time. So it's really important to have this conscious decision of how you're going to teach your players to run fast. So I have inside the Sport Speed system, we use what's known as speed age. And speed age is your relative relationship to how much training and how much specific, structured, organized training you have done that relates to the development of speed. Now, in my experience and in my history, and quite industry-wide, is that we actually have a real issue with the narrative of how we produce speed in players. And so in the preparation, where most people and most coaches and most athletes lean towards conventional weight room exercises in the pursuit of developing strength to prepare themselves for rugby, when actually fail to do that basic needs analysis of the sport. And so most team sport athletes that we've come across have done, typically when I was working in professional sport as well, in the clubs that I was working with, you would have guys that had played for their country who had, at a senior level, who had not done a significant, sufficient amount of speed training or training dedicated to develop specific sprint qualities on the field, and they have played for their country. So when we put them in that learning to sprint bucket and that learning to sprint speed age, I started to get ridiculous results with all these players. Why? Because I completely reorientated the approach of the training. We came away from a general strength bias and shifted towards a specific speed bias. And the irony of when you shift towards a specific speed bias is that you actually increase your strength as well. And there's so many lessons here that I'm going to talk a lot more about over the coming weeks. And if you are just catching up here, or if you're new here, we're going to be going live for Speed by Sportland TV, or the Sport Speed TV show, whatever you want to call it, on a Wednesday at 1 p.m. in the UK, to really start to deliver these lessons nice and wide. And when you, as I segue out, as you come back in and we look at our principles of developing that general speed and our speed age, we've just looked at learning to sprint. We've looked here at what we need to look at in our speed training examples and what we need to understand about our athletes in order to create the results that we do. This is something that I am incredibly passionate about, and we're going to unpack the system over the few next coming weeks. And so when we look at our speed ages, just to finish off and just for you to think ahead and as we look forward towards next week, is that we have learning to sprint, we have training to sprint, we have sprinting to compete and sprinting to win. And within that hierarchy and within those speed ages, we have to understand, as we talked about today, the basics of what general speed is and how do we create general speed. And the reality is that most training paradigms for team sport athletes finish here. They say, right, well, I'm going to get you as fast as I can, and then you're on your own. we're not going to take that into the field. So we then need to look at what's known as specific speeds. We have general speed, running fast in a straight line. We have specific speed, which is running fast to the specific distances that you will face on the field. Specialized speed is how you withstand the capacity of those and how you incorporate the base skills. So, for example, running fast and passing, running fast and stepping, running fast and tackling. And then the tactical speed is actually how you then start to create opportunities on the field to score. Let's take that winger example. How can I use my speed to run my lines faster, to beat defenders better, and then also to prevent scoring opportunities as well? That's really, really important, is how can I use my tactical awareness and my tactical skills capacities to beat defenders and tackle them. And that's what's great in terms of how we can really start to build the system. So to take it away from today, I just need you to really think about, well, am I fast in a straight line? And can I even use that speed on the field? And those are the two biggest questions. And if you watch this video and you want to learn more, if you just chuck speed in the chat, in the comments, then I'll make sure that I reach out to you. I'll make sure I get you a resource. We have a 30-day free speed programming that I'd like to give you. And I'll send you the links for those. And then also make sure you stay tuned for next Wednesday about 1 p.m. UK time, where we're going to be unpacking the sport speed system even more. So for now, run fast, run free, run wild, and I'll speak to you soon.